It's fairy tale. Well, from here, one of my most favorite stories from here is The Bottled Spirit on page 55. I'm just going to let's enjoy together. There was once a poor woodcutter who worked from early morning till late at night. When at last he had scraped together a little money, he said to his boy, "You are my only child, so I will give you the money I've earned with the sweat of my brow to spend on your education. Learn something useful, then you will be able to support me in my old age, when my limbs are too stiff for me to do anything but sit by the fireside." The boy went to a school and studied diligently. His teachers praised him for his industry, and he stayed there some time. Then he went to college, but before he was perfect in everything, he was obliged to leave, for his father's savings had run out. He came home, and his father said sorrowfully, "I can do no more for you, and now can earn nothing beyond what is necessary for our daily bread." "Dear father," answered the son, "don't worry about it. If God so wills, it must be for the best." And when the old man started to cut down trees the next day, he offered to go with him. "Yes, my son," said his father, "come. But it will be hard for you, as you're not used to such toil and labor. Besides, I have only one axe and no money to buy another." "Never mind," said the son. "We will borrow an axe of our neighbor, who will, I'm sure, let me keep it till I earn a new one." Okay. So the father borrowed an axe from his neighbor, and at break of the day, they went together into the forest. The son helped his father and was in gay spirits. When the sun was high in the heavens, the old man said, "We will rest now and will have our lunch. This is the best time." The son took his portion of bread and said, "You rest, father, but I'm not tired. I will take a little stroll and look for birds' nest." "You ninny," exclaimed the father, "if you go about now, you will be too worn out to raise an arm. Better sit by me and rest." But the son strolled on, ate his bread, and was happy and contented as he looked up into the green branches above him for birds' nests. He walked up and down till he saw a fine oak of gigantic circumference, which was hundreds of years old. He stood still and thought, "Many a bird must have built a nest there." Then he fancied he heard a voice. He listened hard, and it certainly was a muffled voice saying, "Let me out, let me out." He looked around but could discover nothing, and it seemed as if the voice came from the ground. So he called, "Where are you?" The voice answered, "I'm here under the oak roots. Let me out, let me out." The student began to dig among the roots, and at last came to a small hollow in which he found a glass bottle. He raised it in the air and held it against the light. There was a thing inside like a frog jumping frantically up and down. "Let me out," it cried again. And the youth, meaning no harm, drew out the cork. Immediately a spirit came out of the bottle, grew and grew till a terrible fellow half as tall as a tree stood before the student. Do you know? He said in a gruff and awful tone, what will be your reward for letting me out? No, answered the student fearlessly. How should I know? I must break your neck for it, answered the spirit. A pity you didn't say so a little sooner, and I wouldn't have let you stay where I would have let you stay where you were. And as for my head, you will leave it alone, as other people must be consulted before you touch it. People or no people, you must have the reward you richly deserve. Do you think I was imprisoned there for nothing? No, it was my punishment. I am the mighty Mercurius. It's Merkurius. Mercurius. Whoever frees me is bound to have the neck broken. All right, said the student coolly. But even that cannot be done in a hurry. First, I must have proof that it was really you, great hulking fellow, who sat in that small bottle. If you can get in again, I shall be convinced, and you can then do what you like with me. The spirit answered loftily, a very simple trick, and he shrank and shrank till he was thin and small enough to creep through the opening of the bottle. Scarcely was he inside before the student deftly screwed the cork in and flung the bottle into its old place under the roots of the oak. The spirit was checkmated. The student now intended to join his father again. The spirit, however, squealed piteously, "Oh, let me out, let me out." The student said no. He would do nothing of the sort. But the spirit made him listen to argument. He promised not to break his neck, but to give him wealth that would last his life long. I dare say, said the young man, you would only deceive me in the same way again. You are wrecking your own chances of happiness by refusing, declared the spirit. I swear not to touch a hair of your head. The student then thought, I'll risk it. Perhaps he will keep his word. So he took the cork out, and the spirit grew taller and taller as before. Now you shall have your reward, said the giant. And he handed the student a case of plaster, saying, if you touch a wound with one end, it will heal. And if you strike steel or iron with the other end, it will change either into silver. Let me try it first, said the student, and went to a tree from which he hewed out a bit of bark with his axe, then touched the place with the plaster, and the bare place became covered with bark again. It is genuine, he said to the giant. Now we may separate. The spirit thanked him for rescuing him, and the student thanked the spirit for his present, and they went their several ways. When the student came back, his father grumbled and asked what he meant by neglecting his work so long. I told you, you would never make anything of it, he said. Don't disturb yourself, father. I'll soon make up the time I've wasted. Make up? Repeated the father wrathfully. How, I should like to know. Look out, father. I'll have that tree down with one blow. He took his plaster and rubbed the axe with it, then struck. But because the iron had turned into silver, the blade of the axe bent. I say, father, look what a bad axe you borrowed. It is all crooked. The father looked aghast and said, So when the son complained about the axe, which was blunt, and said, what a useless axe you got, his father was aghast. So when he said it's all crooked, the father looked aghast and said, a pretty mess you've made of it. Now, You will have to pay for the axe. And where the money is to come from, I don't know. You have certainly been a lot of help, I say. Don't be vexed, said the son. I shall be able to pay for the axe. Oh, you blockhead, cried the father. How will you pay? You have no money. Your brains may be good, but you understand nothing about wood cutting. After a while, the student remarked, Father, I can't work anymore. Let us have a half holiday. What? Answered the father. Do you think I can afford to twiddle my thumbs? I'm bound to work, but you may as well go home, for you are no good. But father, this is the first time I've been in the forest. I can't find my way alone. Come with me, please, he said. And his father's anger having cooled a little, he consented to go home. Then he said to his son, Go and sell the damaged axe and see what you can get for it, and the rest I must earn in order to make the loss good to my neighbor. The son took the axe and carried it to a goldsmith in town, who tried it and laid it on the scales and said, It is worth 400 thalers, and I haven't so much in cash to give you. The student said, Well, give me as much as you have, and the rest I'll lend to you. So the goldsmith gave him 300 thalers and remained 100 in his debt. Then the student went home and said, Father, I have the money. Go and ask what the neighbor will take for his axe. I know without asking, answered the old man. 1 thaler and 6 groschens. Well then, give him 2 thalers and 12 groschens. That'll be double, the son said. You see, I have a lot of money. And he gave his father 100 thalers, saying he should now never want for anything, but live in comfort always. Good gracious, exclaimed the old man. Where did this wealth come from? Then the son told him how things had happened. With the remainder of the money, he went back to college, and in time, because his plaster could heal all wounds, he became the most famous physician in the world. So wasn't that a great story? One of my favorites.